back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a tutorial on how to blend your makeup like a pro. So basically, I really want this video to be very informative, and I want you guys to really learn a lot and not just like me showing you what I do to blend my makeup. So I'm going to explain to you guys the brushes that I use, why I use those brushes, the benefits of those specific brushes, and I'll show you guys how to use them as well. Okay, so let's just get right into the video. First thing you want to do when you want your makeup to look flawless and seamless is to moisturize your skin. A lot of people that I've come across actually skip this step, which is still very surprising in year 2017, because some people are like, oh, my skin is really oily, so I don't feel like I need to moisturize. But then you don't realize that when you don't moisturize your skin actually knows this, and then it produces more oils, and when your skin is really dry and dehydrated, you actually break out. So it's really important to keep your skin hydrated and also to keep your skin moisturized. So I've already done that off camera. So one thing that actually helps your makeup look flawless and blend out really nicely is primer. So say for example you have like really textured skin, and say you have like acne breakouts and stuff like that, and just like large pores. Primers are actually formulated to help not necessarily get rid of those imperfections completely, but to at least make them look a lot less visible. So for example, if you have textured skin and you have acne prone skin, you can use like a smoothing primer. Smashbox Photo Finish Primer is a really good one. It gives you like a nice smooth texture to the skin. So I have like oily / combination skin. My T-zone gets really oily, and the rest of my face it's not really dry, but then it's not like super oily. So that's why I say like oily in combination. So to mattify my T-zone area, I'm using the Becca Ever matte primer, and this you can find at Sephora. Alright, so now my face is primed. We're going to move on to foundation. So foundation today, I'm going to be using the Tarte Clay Stick Foundation, which looks like this. I'm in the shade Tan Deep Honey. Now with foundation, you want to make sure you're using a foundation that really matches your undertone and also matches your skin tone really nicely. So to blend out foundation, I like to use a buffing brush. A buffing brush looks something like this. So as you can see, it has like the dark bristles, and then it goes like whiter in this area because it has two different types of bristles to it. So basically it starts off like really thick in this like dark area, and then this white area is very airy, very soft, and it just allows you to really like blend out the foundation properly, and it gives you a nice airbrush finish. Now typical makeup brush sets would come with this foundation brush, and this one works, but I don't really recommend it for like if you really want to get like flawless makeup. I wouldn't recommend you use this brush, just because this brush tends to leave a lot of streaks on your skin, and obviously we don't want that, because then the makeup is not as blended as it could be. So I'm using a buffing brush, and what you want to do is you want to buff your foundation in circular motions. Now if you have dry skin and you have like flaky skin, I wouldn't recommend you buff it out in circular motions, or if you have acne prone skin as well, just because that can actually inflame the skin and irritate it a lot. And if you have like dry skin, like I said, you want to make sure you exfoliate any like dead skin that may be on the surface before you go in with circular motion. If you have really dry skin, make sure you exfoliate your skin, and that will really make your makeup actually apply a lot nicer and look more flawless. I'm going to just go in and apply the foundation. So if you really want to build coverage in like a specific area, for example around my mouth I have like a little darkness going on and I didn't color correct, so I'm just going to push the foundation into this area, and that builds more coverage. Now another key step to having your foundation look really flawless is to make sure you're using clean brushes, clean sponges, everything is clean, and also to make sure you're not applying too much of any product that you're using. Another thing you can do is use your beauty blender or a damp beauty sponge that you have, and just pack this into your foundation. So this also helps to blend everything out, and this just takes off any excess foundation like I said, and also absorbs any oils on my skin. With highlighting, I already told you guys, you know, use a foundation, use a concealer that's about two shades, honestly, let's just say 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. And what I like to do is I like to apply my concealer on the back of my hand, and I like to use a brush to apply the concealer on my face. And the reason why I do this is because I have a bit more control of how much concealer I actually apply on my face. And like I said, the more products you apply on your face, the more like masky your face is going to look, and just like too cakey, and that's not the look we're going for. So when you use a brush to apply, you have more control of how much product you're applying to your face. I've picked up about this much, and I'm going to just do the same thing on the other side. As you can see, I still have some extra product on my brush, so never underestimate how much product you have on your brush. I got that line from Beat Face Honey, and it has stuck with me like ever since then, honestly, because I was definitely someone that would just, you know, I'll keep applying more product, meanwhile there was still a lot of extra product on my brush, right? So now I've applied that underneath my eyes. I'm just going to take the same brush and I'm just going to run this down the bridge of my nose. And like I said, if you need help with knowing where to place your highlights and contour, be sure to check out my video. I'm going to go back in with my beauty blender to blend everything out. My beauty blender is damp, which is why it's very, very squishy. And I focus a lot on the edges. So the edges meaning like the area where the foundation meets the concealer, okay? You just want to blend all that out. So I like to blend this area first, and then when I blended out this area, then I move upwards towards, you know, my under eye crease area, just because I have fine lines there, and if I apply a lot of product, it can crease like really bad. Okay, so do you see how easy that was to blend out? Because I didn't put on too much product, and the concealer that I used, the shade is not too light for my skin tone, so it's easy to blend out. Okay, so just keep all that in mind, and as you can see, you can't really tell where the concealer starts and where my foundation starts. Everything just blends out seamlessly. Alright, so the same thing goes with contouring. I like to just apply a bit on the back of my hand, then use a brush to apply it, and then I go back in with a different brush or sponge to blend everything out. Okay, so I'm just going to apply the contour, and then I'll come back to explain to you guys how to actually blend it out and what tools to use. Okay, alright you guys, so for blending out contour, what I like to do is I like to use a dual fiber brush again. You guys notice I use a lot of dual fiber brushes just because most of them are made from synthetic hair, and synthetic hair is very durable. It's very hygienic as well compared to like natural hair brushes. I'll show you guys some natural hair brushes later in this video and how I use them, but dual fiber brushes are really nice for blending out foundation and concealers, and just to give you like an airbrush finish in general. Okay, so this is an example of one that I like to use. This one is from Crown Brush, and I just love how like it's very soft. It blends everything out really easy. You can also use one that looks like this, basically the same thing, just that the bristles of this ones are a bit shorter, but this one is from e.l.f., a lot more affordable as well, so just an alternative for you guys. So today I'm going to be using this one from Crown Brush. It's also a dual fiber brush. It's just a little dirty because I used it earlier, but it's the C522, and I'm going to use this to blend out my contour. One thing you can also try again to help you blend out your foundation and contour, say if you have dry skin, you can spray your face or your brush with some Fix Plus or Charge Water from MAC, and that really just helps to blend everything out. So I'm just going to go in circular motions once again, and as you can see, this just blends it out like so easy and so seamlessly, which is why I like to use brushes like this. And then what I like to do with my nose contour is I grab a smaller dual fiber brush and I just use that to blend this out. And I also just go in tiny circular motions as well for the top part, just so it kind of blends into my crease. And then when I go downwards, I just go back and forth. So this is what everything looks like so far. So now I'm just going to go back in with my beauty blender once again, and I'm just going to use this to blend out all of the edges. Like I said, beauty blender also helps pick up any excess product that may be sitting on the skin. Alright you guys, so that's all for blending out all the cream contours and all that, and now we're going to just move on to setting your whole face. Okay, so when I'm setting my face, I like to start with setting my under eye highlights, just because like I said, I have fine lines underneath my eyes, so it tends to crease really quickly, so I just want to make sure I set it and get it out of the way before I move on to the rest of my face. Okay, alright, so when it comes to setting your under eye highlight, there are two different methods that I like to use. First thing you can do is you can use a tapered brush like this. This one is from e.l.f. Cosmetics, also very affordable as well, but it's very densely packed, and the bristles just, you know, they come to a point, which is why I really like it for under the eyes, just because it can really go like in there and you can just press in the powder and it sets everything in place. Another thing you can do is you can go in with your beauty blender to set your under eye highlight. So either way works. Actually use both methods, and I'll show you guys how to use them, and you can, you know, choose the one that you prefer. First thing I like to do is I just like to use the beauty blender once again to just blend out any creasing underneath my eyes, and then I like to just go in with my Sacha buttercup powder, and I just use that and I press that underneath my eyes using this tapered brush. And another key thing to keep in mind is to press the powder into your skin. Don't move it around, because when you move it around, it also disturbs the placement of your concealer, and that can just basically ruin everything, and obviously we don't want that. So just push it into the skin rather than swiping it basically. Alright, so after doing this, I like to go in with my beauty blender sponge, and I go in with my Mercier powder. I just put a little bit on the cap. So this is how I like to bake, okay? I like to set my face first using the Sacha buttercup powder, and then I go in with the Mercier powder. So I'm just patting on this powder, as you guys can see, like I'm not even really pressing it into the skin. And this just really brightens up this area. So now, after setting my highlighted areas, I like to set the rest of my foundation before I go in with my contour. And what this does is it just kind of like allows your contouring powder to apply and go on a lot smoother compared to if you just apply the powder directly on top of the cream contour that's not set. It could become blotchy. So to avoid that, I just like to use a setting powder to do this, and I'm using the Tan Deep Honey Tarte Clay airbrush foundation. Okay, and I'm just going to be using a kabuki brush, or you can even use any big like fluffy brush that you have, like a face powder brush. I like to pat it first and then I go in with like circular motions. Okay, so this shade I think is a little too dark for me, so I also like to focus it kind of in the you know, contoured areas of my face rather than towards the center. You can also use a big fluffy brush like this as well to apply bronzer. It's really nice if you use a brush like this, just because it diffuses the product rather than focusing like, you know, all of the product in one concentrated area. You can, like, it's nice and diffused, kind of how the sun would hit you. It won't just hit you in one area, it's like everywhere. Does that make sense? But yeah, so like I said, just go in circular motions like this and blend that out. Another trick to knowing where to apply your bronzer is to make the number 3 on your face. So you start from the temple, go towards your cheek, and then blend it downwards like that. Okay, and just blend everything out in circular motions. To highlight my face, I like to use a another tapered brush. This one is from Sigma, the tapered highlighter brush. So another thing is, when you're highlighting, make sure you're using a highlighter that also has, you know, like a nice undertone that matches yours. For example, I have a yellow undertone, so I hardly ever use like pink undertone highlighters, just because it looks a little like frosty and just ashy on my skin. and it doesn't really blend into my skin nicely, like it just sits there. Does that make sense? So after applying highlighter, then you want to go in and apply some blush, and for that I use this natural head brush from BH Cosmetics. It's just basically like a smaller version of the big bronzer brush. So yeah, so I'm going to use a brush like this. I really like these ones because they kind of like, they're kind of spread out. They're not as densely packed together like this foundation brush is. They are more like flared out, and they, I don't know how to explain this, but like they diffuse the product really well. And once again, I'm going in circular motions. Just always keep in mind to just use circular motions, circular motions, circular motions, circular motions, okay? You know, like you can't really see where anything starts or stops. Everything just kind of looks seamless. Rather than if you just went back and forth, then it's like really, really obvious, and it creates a very harsh line, okay? So now I'm just going to dust up the excess powder on my face, and I'm using the e.l.f. tapered brush once again, and I just picked up some of the Sacha buttercup powder to actually dust it off, just so it brings back that warmth to my skin, okay? Sacha buttercup powder, and I'm just going to use this to buff my whole face. Okay, so now I'm just buffing everything together so it blends out any harsh lines or anything like that. To contour my nose, I like to use a brush like this. It's already kind of in that little pinched shape, and you know, it goes directly in this area for me to contour, so it makes my life a lot easier. This brush is also densely packed, so it does pack on a lot of product, so I always tend to, I make sure I go in with a little product and I tap off the excess before I apply it directly on my nose, okay? And then after doing this, you can just go back in and just blend everything out with your beauty blender. Alright you guys, so I'm just going to do the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be right back to round up this video, okay? Alright you guys, so this is a finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys found it helpful. Yeah, be sure to thumbs up this video if you liked it and if you found it helpful, and share it with your friends and family so you can help them out with their makeup game too. And we're going to do a flash test. The best picture in the world, but it works. But yeah, as you can see, there's no flashback or anything like that. So yeah guys, as you can see, once you blend out your foundation really nicely and take your time, use the right tools, use the right technique, you would have a flawless finish every single time you do your makeup. So of course it takes practice. Just keep practicing, rewatch the video, take notes, you know, go out and get the brushes that you feel like you need. But yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Once again, please be sure to subscribe and thumbs up, and I'll see you all in my next one. Have a wonderful week. God bless you all. Bye.